Hi, Mike DePung here from Spirit Hill, Spirit Healing in and into Love and Light. I've been thinking since the last video a few days ago um, about this concept of healing. I've had a couple of responses to it, and I don't know for sure what I'm going to bring out today. I just feel like I needed to come back. So I want to remind you, if you didn't see the last video, and if you did, it's just a little remembrance. Here is the arrowhead that I talked about. That was kind of like that's a better picture, kind of like the beginning of my journey in terms of knowing that there was hurt. And that's why we usually seek to be healed, is because we know there are hurts. And that happens to us in our form as spirit incarnate, because we have, again, and I know I've said this many times, ego and heart. Ego is necessary for putting us in society, in contact, in relationship to others. It's necessary for a number of reasons. I don't want to talk about that right now, except what I will say is this: because it has such a powerful function in our lives, it really can create problems if we don't awaken to the part of us that really sent us here, that brought us here, that prompted us to come here, which is heart, our spirit essence. And we are indeed spirit. We are divinity in a very definite form with a human body. And because of that, healing is necessary, because along with this condition that we're in, along with this state that we're in, this beautiful, complex experience that we have here, traumas occur, hurts happen, because it's just the nature of it. And we came here knowing this. Now, it doesn't mean that we caused this, but we came here knowing this. And experiences that we have, though, there are these attractions, there are these ways we think. And as a child, as a little child, like one maybe who was only 9 or so years old when this was discovered, not knowing the significance in that, these many decades later, I would still have this, and it would be in that broken state. And it would be symbolic to me. But that was because I have come to know, and even back then I knew that there were energies about me, but that we have spirits about us, the unseens, I call them, in different forms, spirit expressions in other forms, who care about us because we are a unity. We are one, but we each have different expressions, different ways of being. And so we as humans have hurts, traumas that need healing, because we want to know the real reasons, the real fullness of why we came here, to appreciate the beauty of this creation, to understand the unity of different worlds, of the unseen worlds. And if you think that we don't, remember again, I know I mentioned this several videos ago, if you think that that's just unrealistic, or that that's part of a shamanistic way of thinking that is weird or something, all standard religions have these kind of states of heaven, of nirvana, of hell, of punishment, of all these different states. They're alternative states to what we are in right now. And here's the reality: we can heal right now. It's not in the future. It's not because it's going to drop on us from above or rise up to torment and torture us from below. No, we have the ability because we are divinity. We are creators. That doesn't mean flawlessness. And I want to emphasize that maybe. To be here, our purpose is not to become flawless. Our purpose is to understand and appreciate why we're here. To come walk into our own power and peace in our own divinity. To know the beauties of this life about us. To enjoy it, to enjoy sharing with one another, and especially with those who come to know these things. But it doesn't matter. You can share with anybody and enjoy the beauties in one another. So I bring this up because part of what came to me last time, and I will remind you of again, is that we look into nature is one place to start, but we don't need to stay in one thing. It doesn't matter. Our hearts, who are our spirit essence, can guide us. If you are watching this and you hear, "Gosh, I'm hurt. Gosh, I don't know what to do," and people just keep hurting me, and the world is just crazy, and it's overwhelming. You know what? If that's happening to you, that's your heart saying to you. If you're vexed by that, that's your heart saying, "Look to me, look to me. There are ways to deal with this. You have the power and the ability within yourself to deal with this, but you have to know yourself." And that's so important. Know yourself. And some people get hung up on the word purpose, and they take off on all kinds of tangents and write books about how to discover your purpose, then go through all these things, and you come up with like, "Gosh, I'm going to be a carpenter." No, your purpose is, in the basic simplest form, is to be you, to express your divinity in your unique, within your unique form that you're here in, your talents, your interests, your passions, your abilities. Use them. There is no wrong choice. So that's part of our healing too, is coming into that knowledge, but dealing with very specific things, very specific traumas perhaps, is very personal. And I might, if I deal with individuals like I have with some people, give them advice, and what resonates from these videos, you just take it and use it, but use it not because I said it or somebody else, you heard from somebody else saying it. Use it because your own heart is saying, yeah, this is what we can use. This is what we can use to help us. To help us what? To heal. And I want to talk about that a little bit. You know, I was undecided about this. I have before me a couple of poems, because, and not my poems, but they are poems of the British romantic thinker, creative, William Blake, who, that would be one. I have several things that if I ever did a PhD, I would really want to focus on. William Blake is one person and his work that I would focus on. And I was undecided, but I think I'm supposed to do this. I want to do this. I choose to do this. Quick literary lesson. William Blake looked at 3 states of humanity, starting out as the child in a state of innocence, who understood beauty, but who could be led astray. And the part that leads the child astray is experience. So there's innocence as a child, then there's experience, which is kind of the harsher side, not harsher even, but the powerful side of humanity, a power that can create or that can destroy. And that's part of the polarity we have within us. And it can leave us in a quandary. Usually when we come through and we realize the effects of experience, that state of humanity, where we realize other people hurt us, other people hurt other people, I hurt other people. When we come to that, and yet we realize there's still this part of us that wants love and peace and to experience beauty and to be creative and all. Where's the reconciliation for that? Those are the polarities. Where's the reconciliation for that? Well, it comes in the form, William Blake talked about it, in the form of organized innocence. Organized innocence is this reclamation, in a sense, of the innocent child, of the one who has now not only been a child and has all those desires and all those things that can hurt and all those experiences that have hurt, and come through that stage of experience and just feel pain perhaps. And now organized innocence says, I can reclaim that which is mine by birthright, that which is mine by divinity that I am, because we came here for the expression of that, of being that child, but in a way that is not naive, but rather one of healing from the traumas. So this organized innocence, as it's stated, is a state of the soul in which began in innocence, passes through and assimilates the opposing state of experience, and moves on by an act of imagination, by the work of heart, I would say, to a third state where the person has risen above the corruption, and not flawlessness, but and maybe not even risen above, as this definition states, but that understands the corruption, and that are those things that some people classify as corruption are the lower life energies that are chosen either by default to ego or by choice of ego, and ignoring one's own heart. And person in this that comes to a state of organized innocence, which to me is understanding the healing that is ours and seeking it and working through it, that comes, and working through this healing of that which comes from childhood, to experience the wild inner child, the uninhibited, unapologetic, knowing that there are those who ignore their heart. But those of us who come to listen to heart, we say, yeah, we want this. We want to be healed. We want those things that have wounded that inner child to be released. A lot more I could say, but I want to do this because I just feel like I'm supposed to. I want to, maybe this will just speak to somebody's heart. I'm not going to read a complete poem, but there's this one from the Songs of Innocence by William Blake. Now, there's also the same title one in the Songs of Experience, Genius, and this is the way Blake organized his work. But I want to read from the Songs of Experience, The Chimney Sweeper. When my mother died, I was very young, and my father sold me while yet my tongue could scarcely cry. Weep, 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 weep. So your chimneys I sweep, and in soot I sleep. And Blake and the other romantics wrote as a reaction to not only the Age of Enlightenment, not casting out or ignoring the amazing discoveries that were made and the developing sciences, but responding to their applications of the Industrial Revolution, where little children that were 6 and 7 years old were sent to be chimney sweepers to keep up with all of the new city life that was happening. And I won't talk about all that, but here's a little boy or a little girl, I don't know which, but probably a little boy that was sold and to be a chimney sweeper. And he had a little friend with him. There's little Tom Dacre, who cried when his head that curled like a lamb's back was shaved. So I said, hush, Tom, never mind it, for when your head's bare, you know that the soot cannot spoil your white hair. And that is the degradation of innocence. That is the degradation of heart working in little children, in me and in you, from when we were young. Because ego has to start justifying the condition of experience, the condition of adults, the condition of humanity, of the collective that uses ego to live in lower life energies, because they haven't bothered to stop to look into, to hear, and listen to their own heart to heal. And so it's just perpetuated. This is why we are coming into a new age, and this is a whole separate other topic. But an age where the divine feminine that values, that nurtures these kinds of energies of healing and caring and restoring the inner child and caring for that inner child, that's what we're coming into. And this age, the basically from the recorded history of humanity, most of it, the majority of it, not all, but the majority of it, and the collective today bears witness to that, of the ego-fueled, patriarchal oligarchies, desire to win, to compete, to be the best, to have the most. All of that is the kind of thing that comes from ego, along with other things, along with justifying why things are like they are. Because ego does ultimately try to keep us from being injured, and it can't. That's not its function. That's where we call on heart. On heart, well, we'll get to it. So this little chimney sweeper tries to help a little friend and say, hey, just think about the positive thing. When your head's bare, all your beautiful hair that was shaved off, the soot cannot spoil your white hair. And so the poet goes on to describe this dream that little Tom Dacre has, and how an angel comes and helps them and sets them all free at the end of their lives so they can enjoy life. And here's the justification, and here's the ugliness of choosing ego lower life energies, of not wanting to heal and free the inner child. The last stanza says, and so Tom awoke, and we rose in the dark and got with our bags and our brushes to work. Though the morning was cold, Tom was happy and warm. So if all do their duty, they need not fear harm. No, you may not fear harm, but you will be harmed. You cannot accept the way things are. If you feel trauma and hurt, you don't just accept, well, I just have to adjust to it. And you just don't move on and lead a life of quiet desperation. Because there are those who understand and know the power of the experience side of humanity. One of the poems that Blake wrote that is much more popular probably to many people is in his Songs of Experience, where it looks into the state of humanity that understands the power and they can use it for evil or good. And I say that evil or good, for lower life energies or higher life energies. And it's called the tiger. Tiger, tiger, burning bright in the forest of the night. What a mortal hand or eye could frame thy fearful symmetry? Who can make such a fearful thing, such a powerful thing? It's part of us. It's part of our creation. And so ego can be that, and it can lead to accepting injury and trauma and seeking no healing and just buckling and being bowed to it by those who choose to use that great power to oppress. That's why I feel very strongly about some social things, and I'm going to talk about that maybe some in my next video. But for now, I just want to come back to this idea of, if you feel hurt, if you perhaps have stumbled on this channel seeking healing, nobody else can tell you how to heal. What I can tell you, what I will tell you as a shaman, is that we have within us the ability to heal. Beyond that, we have a realm of unseen energies and entities who will speak to us, who will, if we ask, reveal themselves to us eventually. But it's not a thing to put aside. It's not a thing it's not some kind of game that we can play at for a little while. We want healing. If our heart is speaking to us, look into the mirror. See your own eyes. See behind those eyes to that heart you, to the divinity, and say, how do we go about this? And know that there are helpers. And you might find a rock, an arrowhead. You might find, like I showed you last time, a heron feather. You might find, like a friend who wrote to me after the last video, hi Gina, about a robin who had been around for a while, but now started making friends with her. And she started offering him seeds, and he seems fearless. And he brought around the female now. And I pointed out to her, hey, you're seeking healing? You're not offering the bird seeds. The bird is offering you seeds. What does it mean? And there are, and there's an abundance of helps for that. You could type in spiritual significance of cardinal. You can use, and I don't have the book close by here, book like I have by Ted Anders about nature speak, or animal speak in this case, animal speak. And look into those who have studied, those who have known, those who have sensed. But the best thing is to sense for yourself, what is cardinal trying to show me? What are the elements of cardinal I see right in front of me? Or whatever it might be you find. For the example with cardinal, you see this brilliant red color, and yet you see the female with muted tones, but it's known to be a bird of not primarily male energy, but the divine feminine energy. Why? Because that it's not unheard of, but it's relatively rare that the female sings just like the male, has the same song, can sound like the male, and the male tends to, in very powerful ways, tends to the female. So that's just a little example. What has come into your life? What is it that has come into your life because you have wanted to and sought meaning? Why you've experienced what you've done, why you have hurt the way you've hurt. You have the power to come into that state of organized innocence. I want my inner child restored. I am divinity. I have asked for help. And I can guarantee you, if you look to that and you observe for yourself and you have faith in your own divine self, your own heart, you will be able to make sense of this and be on that healing journey. I'm going to do something real quick I shared, because right before I got on, I did ask for help, and I asked a question, and my question to cards that I use, this deck called the Mystical Oracle Shaman deck. Cards, tarot cards or whatever, different kinds of oracle cards. The Unseens can use these too to help give us understanding. And I asked a simple question: what might you Unseens want us to know about healing today? Here are the cards that came out. And I don't want this video to get too long, but I do have these. The very first card that came out that I thought, wow, it was flow. When you look closely at this card, you see that there is this almost levitation of this water in between the hands of the one representing the divine feminine. Here you have trees that are there that represent nature, and seeing things, the messages that can come from nature about how to get into this flow. The flow of what? The flow of our healing, the flow of knowing who we are and functioning in the way we want to function, which is to live in the energies of that inner child. Enjoying everything, running with joy. We make these, we explore, we make these discoveries, we want to share them. We want to know them for ourselves, and the excitement. We get into this state of flow where we don't even notice that we're moving along, that we're flowing, that we're drawing in unseen energies and entities, and we get into this state of flow in our healing. Okay, enough said about that. The second card that came out was this of many paths, and I could say a whole lot about this card because it comes up a lot in my readings, personal readings. But many paths. There is no right or wrong way for your healing. A religion, an organized religion, can help you perhaps, but it cannot tell you. And when they start telling you this is the way, this is what you have to do, you know that that's ego working. Doesn't mean that it's wrong or that it's horrible, but it's a lower life energy. If you want the highest expression of yourself, this inner child, to know all these joys, then you know what? Get it for yourself. You have the ability to do it. And there isn't a wrong path. There just isn't. So start seeking. It might not be the way I talk about things, but you will start seeing things for yourself. Synchronicities, things that come together, words that you hear, a video you watch, a podcast, a book you read, and it will start you down a path that is yours, that you can trust, and that will lead you to other paths, many paths, not wrong. Just do it for yourself. Just do it for yourself. And I tell you that because I love you. And the very third card that came out that is very special to me is Jaguar. Jaguar is from the New World. Jaguar is the top predator in the New World. She has no fears. She is this creature, again, that carries the energy, whether male or female, gender-wise, carries the energy of the divine feminine. This one who can move through the shadows of the night, hunts in the night. Move through your own shadows. She carries magic. You can, by magic, and I don't mean doing some kind of tricks, but the magic of understanding and knowing the intricate nature of who you are, who I am, that we are spirit incarnate, and that we start our own healing journeys. And we don't have to fear. Jaguar has no fear. You don't have to fear. Now you will doubt yourself, perhaps. You will wonder when other people might respond or other people might say things to you. That's ego telling you, hey, watch out here. If you have the spirit, the energy of Jaguar, just remember that. Remember this, because my question was, what do you want to know about healing today? That you don't have to be afraid. There is no fear. That you can look into your own shadows, hurts, and traumas that create those shadows, and you can fearlessly move among them and call out the light of your heart, call out the light of the unseens that are about us, and engage. I really don't have anything else today. No. We will, I'll continue, I promise, because the way things are, I just want you, especially who are listening to this, and I wish it for so many others. I send this energy towards many others in my ceremony every night. But I want to just leave you now with love and peace until next time.